What is up, the YouTubes? Haven't made a video in a minute because just life, been kind of changing some shit around. But figured I would go over this thing that I've been working on for probably about a month now. It's a Yamaha Vino. This is not the same Vino I had in the other video on this channel. I've had like 3 or 4 more since then. I kind of swap them around. I've had this one for about 2 years. It's done me very well, dog. Started out as a 50cc with some basic bolt-ons, had it tuned like super good, and then some stuff happened and it messed up my original setup, and I've never been able to get it tuned that good again. Tried to put a big bore kit on the stock Vino motor, and you know how Yamaha cranks are, if you know these scooters at all, they like to just go. So I did something kind of unorthodox, and I'll flip it around and kind of explain everything real quick. This is actually a 90cc now. So here it is, the 90cc horizontal Minarelli mounted up in the scooter. If you guys are wondering what this is out of, you can find these in 90cc 2-stroke mini quads. Basically, think Polaris, Eton. This one came out of a United Motors quad. But any 2-stroke quad with a scooter engine in it like this should work. You just have to make sure it's a 90. Some of them are 50s and 70s. You can kind of tell if you look at how big this cylinder is under here. You kind of can't see it, but the cylinder is a good inch or two bigger in every direction than a 50cc. Like, it's very obvious if you can actually look at the engine what you're looking at. But yeah, this is in a YJ50 Vino 01 to 05. The first thing, this engine actually bolts into the scooter. So this is using the quad bar and the quad mounting bolt here. You just unbolt it out of the quad, undo everything. Yamahas, I don't know if the Chinese ones are the same way, but Yamaha Minarelli engines have bearings inside the engine cases to mount them to the support bracket, instead of bushings like a Honda or a Piaggio or something like that. The bearings are the better choice. They'll never fail on you like the bushings do. The bushings can get side-to-side planes, all that kind of crap. But you have to hammer the bearings out of the Yamaha motor, which isn't the hard part. The hard part is getting the bushings out of the quad motor, because basically the outside edge of it is smaller than the inside edge. So you can't just use a bushing pull. You have to actually cut the bushings out. If you have the resources to do that, I would definitely recommend that. That way the scooter handles just like it did when it had the Yamaha motor in it. I'm using the bushings. Recently took it up to Chicago for a big ride up there, big mini ride. And probably did over 100 miles on it. And it's a little squishier than when I first put the motor in here, but everything's been moving around, so it's probably fine. In the quad, the engine doesn't pivot. It's hard mounted, and it pivots in the scooter, so it's going to loosen up a little bit. But for now, it's fine. Just that's the first thing that you have to worry about, is if you want to do the bearings. The next hard part is this wheel. You may notice that this is not a Yamaha Vino wheel like this one. This is a steel Yamaha wheel. This wheel is actually off of a Kiwi Hurricane. It's a Chinese or Taiwan, I guess it's Taiwan, 50cc scooter. You have to do this. If you have like an Eton or a Kiwi, a Taiwan-based 2-stroke scooter, you should be able to use your factory wheel and the wiring. I'll get into the wiring in a little bit, because this motor has a large 18 spline output shaft that actually goes into the wheel right here. It's large and it's 18 splines. If you're swapping one of these motors into a Yamaha, like I did, Yamahas have 16 spline output shafts, and they're very small. The wheel from the Yamaha will not even come close to fitting on this. You have kind of 2 options with it. You can bore out the center of the Yamaha wheel right here and have new keys cut into it, which is really time consuming. The other option, which I tried to have done, is have spacers made for the bearings in here, because not only is the shaft bigger, but the bearings are all larger on the inside of the case. Not the engine side right here, just the output side. All the bearings are larger, And you can't just swap the Yamaha bearings into here. The holes in the engine are bigger, just like everything's bigger on this. You could have spacers made so you could take all the scooter final drive components and put them into this case. I tried to have that done in the machine shop I picked. It's kind of a weird process. It didn't really get done, but then I found these wheels. This is the option I would go with. Any Taiwan-based scooter, if you can find the wheel for it, these are short case engines, so it has to be a 10-inch wheel like this. Just look at the listing if you buy one off of eBay and count the splines. If it's 18 splines, you should be good. If it's not 18, then it's the wrong wheel. It has to be 18 spline, large shaft wheel, and you will have to space it out. I have 2 washers in there to space the wheel out away from the engine so nothing rubs. I had to take the big C-clip out to do that holds in the bearing, but I don't think it needs it anyway, so we're going to see how it goes. The Yamaha engines, if you're doing it in a jog, I think the jog and maybe the bug eye might be AC CDI systems. The Vino is DC. It has a big CDI box, and if you actually look at the stator plate, the wiring is all kinds of different. And to my knowledge, what I found, you cannot wire a DC stator or an AC stator into a DC system. It's just not how it works. You probably can do it, but it's a lot of effort and a lot of time. What I just ended up doing is, if you can see right here, I took the quad harness and lengthened the kill switch wires and the key wire for the ignition right here about 1.5 feet. That's what these black wires are. That's the extensions. You can see right there. Basically brought everything up so I could mount it where it would be on the scooter, because if I didn't, it would all be down here. If you're just riding it, it would be fine, but this is a stunt bike. I kind of jump around on it, jump on the seat, and move my legs around. I didn't want to hit the kill switch, so almost forgot another thing. If you want to mount this engine in here, we have to get under the bike, but usually, if you look right here, that is not factory. Basically, the scooter engines have casting right about here that would hold this brake cable in place so that it doesn't move and your brakes work. These quad motors were never made to go in a scooter, so they don't have that. So as you can see right here, this is a brake holder mount from like a Chinese 150, like a Tao, and I drilled holes into the case right here going upwards and put bolts in them just to hold that bracket in place. And you have to do that, otherwise your rear brakes won't work. But yeah, had to do that as well. Yeah, that's basically kind of it, dude. Just the wheel. You have to source a wheel, figure out if you want to do the bushings, and then the wiring. Beyond that, honestly, really, really good engine swap. This bike will not pass 8,500 RPMs at full speed. And to give you perspective, the 70cc did 51 at 9,600 RPMs. This thing does 53 at like 83 or 84, not very high on the revs at all, which is the key. If you want a long-lasting setup and you want to keep the stock crank, like I want to keep this crank. It's a big 12 mil crank. You can't see it in there, but it's the big boy crank. I want to keep it intact, so low revs, especially for a stunt bike like this. It doesn't really go all that fast. Definitely the move. That's the advantage over the 70, because these have taller gearing. The stock Yamaha is 11.8 to 1 on the gear ratio. This is 8.8 to 1. So geared very tall. I have the stock Vino carb on here, and I don't like this pipe very much, but the Polini speed does do very good with this setup. I will actually link the thread on 49cc Scoop, but I got the Pro tapers on here, 5XC low from, YZ 250s and stuff, and WRs from the mid-2000s with the Pro Taper fat bar clamps on there. Just feels really good. We have a pre-bug shock in here to lift the back end of the Vino up. I don't know if you can tell, but if you look at a stock Vino, it definitely does not sit that high in the rear. Yeah, dude, it's the Vino. Just wanted to go over it. If you guys have any questions, ask them. I love answering questions, or I'll link the build thread of this thing from 49cc Scoot. Thanks to those guys, by the way. They're so much help with figuring out what to do with this engine and like how to get it in here. I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye. Bye, dog. Bye, dog. Bye.